AITA for freezing our joint card after my wife left for a weekend trip with another man. I'm Isaac, 42, and Kara and I had been married for 11 years by the night she dragged that suitcase across our kitchen floor. I'm not naturally dramatic. I'm the kind of man who rinses the coffee pot before bed, puts the spare batteries back in the same drawer, and prefers one uncomfortable conversation instead of 3 weeks of passive aggression. I used to think patience was one of my better qualities. Kara taught me that patience can turn into permission when you hand it to the wrong person. The wheels of her suitcase clicked over the tile while my phone lit up on the counter. I glanced down and saw a credit card alert for a hotel deposit. Kara was wearing a cream sweater, dark jeans, and the silver bracelet Jonah had given her a few months earlier. She had worn the same bracelet to our anniversary dinner. Her overnight bag was perched on top of the larger suitcase. She had packed for more than one night. "I'm not doing this again," she said. "We haven't done this once," I replied. "We have this conversation every time Jonah's name comes up." "No, we have a different conversation every time the boundary moves." Her jaw tightened. "I told you what this weekend is. I need space. I need to clear my head. Jonah understands what I'm going through. And you're spending the weekend with him." "Yes." "In the same hotel?" She gave me a tired smile, the kind people use when they want the person in front of them to feel childish. "That question is exactly why I need this trip." It wasn't an answer, and she knew it. I looked down at my phone again. The alert showed a charge large enough to cover more than a basic hotel deposit. "Who paid for the room?" I asked. Kara crossed her arms. "We did." "What does that mean?" "The card, Isaac. I used the shared card. The card was technically mine. Kara was an authorized user, and we had treated it like a household card for years. Groceries, repairs, medical bills, trips we took together. She knew the account was tied to my name and income, but she called it shared because that sounded better when she wanted to spend without asking. "You put this trip on my card." "Our card." "You booked a weekend with Jonah on the card attached to my account." "We're still married," she said. I'm allowed to breathe. That sentence settled something inside me. Not because she admitted we were still married, because she only seemed to remember it when she needed access to the benefits. I didn't raise my voice. "You can go," I said. Her eyes narrowed, like she had prepared herself for a fight and didn't know what to do without one. "You're not going to stop me?" "I'm not locking the door." "Good." "But I'm not paying for it." She stared at me. Then she laughed once, without humor. "You can't be serious." "I am." "This is financial control." "No. Financial control would be telling you that you can't leave unless I approve it. I'm telling you to use your own money. You know my checking account doesn't have enough for a last-minute trip. Then it sounds like you planned a trip you couldn't afford." Her face changed. The smooth, wounded expression disappeared, and something sharper came through. "You're doing this to punish me. I'm refusing to sponsor it. You're proving everything I've said about you." That line caught my attention, though I didn't understand why yet. "What exactly have you said about me?" She grabbed the suitcase handle. "I'm not having another interrogation." "Kara." "No, you don't get to turn this into a trial because I'm finally doing something for myself. Something for yourself and Jonah. He's my friend. He's the man you dated before me. We never officially dated. You told me you were in love with him. That was 15 years ago. And he gave you the bracelet you wore to our anniversary dinner." Her eyes flicked down to her wrist, then back at me. "You should be secure enough not to care." I was secure enough to bring it up calmly. "You were disrespectful enough to wear it anyway." She pulled the suitcase toward the door. "If you call me all weekend, if you embarrass me in front of Jonah, or if you start sending jealous messages, I'm done," she said. "I mean it." I leaned one hand against the counter. "Are you saying the marriage ends if I object to my wife taking a romantic weekend with another man?" "It's not romantic." "Then why are you avoiding every direct question?" She yanked the door open. "This is exactly why I can't breathe around you." The door shut behind her. A few seconds later, I heard the trunk of her rideshare closing in the driveway. I didn't follow her. I didn't call Jonah. I didn't throw anything, punch a wall, or stand at the window hoping she would change her mind. I looked at the counseling appointment reminder still clipped to the side of the refrigerator and realized we had another session scheduled for the following Tuesday. Kara had booked a weekend away with another man 4 days before our marriage counseling appointment. That was when my phone buzzed again. Another charge. For years, Kara had been the most alive person in any room. That was what I loved about her. The Kara I married could turn takeout on the couch into the best part of my week. She would steal fries off my plate, sing the wrong lyrics with complete confidence, and decide at 9 at night that we needed to drive somewhere, just for pie. Our first few years were full of small, ridiculous traditions that belonged only to us. On our 5th anniversary, the restaurant lost our reservation. Instead of getting upset, Kara bought 2 cheap candles from a drugstore, set them on our kitchen counter, and made us eat grocery store cake with plastic forks. "This is better," she said. "Nobody here is going to rush us for the table." She made ordinary things feel important. That was why I had spent so long telling myself the woman who dismissed me now was just going through something temporary. The change didn't happen all at once. It came in careful pieces. About 2 years earlier, Kara started saying she had lost herself in the marriage. At first, I took her seriously. We had been together a long time. People changed. Needs changed. I didn't want to be the husband who heard dissatisfaction and treated it as an accusation. I asked what she needed. She said more time with friends. I encouraged it. She said she wanted hobbies that had nothing to do with me. I supported that too. She said she felt like every decision had become a joint decision, and she wanted to feel spontaneous again. So I stopped asking for exact schedules. I stopped texting when she was out unless it was late enough to be a safety concern. I made dinner for myself when she changed plans at the last minute. Then space became staying out until 1 in the morning without a message. Spontaneity became spending money we had not discussed. Privacy became turning her phone face down whenever I entered the room. Every inch I gave became another foot of distance she expected me to tolerate. Jonah came back into her life quietly. At first, Kara mentioned that he had commented on an old photo. Then she told me he was going through a difficult time and needed someone to talk to. A few weeks later, I walked into the living room after midnight and found her sitting in the dark with her phone pressed to her ear. She ended the call as soon as she saw me. "Who was that?" I asked. "Jonah." "At midnight." "He's going through something." "What kind of something?" She stood up and walked past me. "Not everything is yours to know." I didn't like the answer, but I also didn't want to become suspicious just because an old friend had called her late. Then there were more calls. More messages. Inside jokes I didn't understand. A coffee photo she posted online with 2 cups on the table. I learned Jonah had been there because Jenna commented, "You two are trouble," followed by a laughing emoji. When I asked why she had not mentioned meeting him, Kara sighed and said, "Because I knew you would make it weird. You hid it because you knew it would bother me." I didn't hide anything. I just didn't report it to you. That distinction became one of her favorite weapons. If she avoided telling me something, it wasn't secrecy. It was autonomy. If I noticed, it wasn't concern. It was control. The bracelet should have been my breaking point. It was our 11th anniversary. We were sitting on a restaurant patio under string lights, and Kara kept touching a slim silver chain around her wrist. I noticed it before the server brought water. "That's new," I said. She smiled. "You noticed? Where did you get it?" "Jonah gave it to me." I stared at her. "When?" "Last week." "Why?" "He saw it and thought of me. And you wore it tonight." She took a sip of water. "It's jewelry, Isaac. It's a gift from the man you used to be in love with." "I used to have feelings for him. That doesn't mean I'm sleeping with him." "I didn't say you were." "You implied it." I said wearing his gift to our anniversary dinner feels disrespectful. She leaned back in her chair. "You should be secure enough not to care." I remember looking at the anniversary card beside her plate. I had written 3 drafts before settling on something that sounded honest without sounding overly sentimental. She had opened it, smiled, and tucked it into her purse. Jonah's bracelet stayed visible on her wrist all night. I should have left the restaurant. Instead, I stayed. I told myself adults did not blow up marriages over jewelry. I told myself I was choosing peace. That was the problem. I had spent so long choosing peace that Kara had started mistaking it for surrender. We tried counseling because I insisted. The first appointment card stayed on the refrigerator for weeks. Kara acted as though agreeing to go proved she was committed, even though she spent most sessions explaining why my reactions were the real issue. In one session, I said, "I'm not asking her to erase her past. I'm asking her not to make her past more protected than our marriage. Kara shook her head and looked at the counselor. Do you hear how he talks? Everything becomes a boundary, a rule, a standard. I'm failing. The counselor asked her what she believed a reasonable boundary with Jonah would look like. Kara replied, I can't heal while being monitored. I said, that isn't an answer. She turned to me. Because you don't want an answer. You want obedience. The counselor tried to slow the conversation down, but the pattern was already set. Kara could make a reasonable question sound oppressive by refusing to answer it and criticizing the fact that it had been asked. After one session, we sat in the car in silence. I finally said, the issue is not that Jonah exists. The issue is that you protect your contact with him more fiercely than you protect us. She stared through the windshield. Jonah listens without turning everything into a trial. I'm your husband. That doesn't mean you own every part of me. I don't want to own you. You say that, but you punish me every time I choose myself. I remember thinking that she had turned marriage into a system where any request for consideration was an attack on her identity. Still, I stayed. I stayed because 11 years mattered. I stayed because there were good memories mixed into the bad months. I stayed because divorce felt like admitting I had failed. I stayed because I feared that if I drew a hard line, everyone would call me controlling and Kara would use that word as proof she had been right all along. The night she left for the trip, I finally understood that I had been arranging my entire behavior around the story she might tell about me. And she had been telling it anyway. After the second credit card alert came through, I called Wes. He had been my closest friend long enough to know that when I said, I need you to talk me out of doing something stupid, I wasn't asking for comfort. What happened? He asked. Kara left for the weekend with Jonah. There was a pause. She actually went. Yes. Together? Yes. Same hotel. She refused to answer. And you're calling me because? She used my card. Another pause. Then Wes said, do not follow her. I'm not going to. Do not call Jonah like a maniac. I haven't. Do not send anything you'd hate to hear read back in court. That landed harder than I expected. You think this is headed there? I think she packed a bag to spend a weekend with another man and charged it to you. I think you need to stop asking what she means and start looking at what she did. I sat at the kitchen table. The house was so quiet that I could hear the refrigerator cycle on. What do I do? Facts first. Feelings after. I'm angry. Be angry. Just don't let anger pick the method. I opened the banking app. The hotel deposit was there. So was an airline charge I had not noticed earlier. 2 upgraded seats. A spa reservation. A restaurant charge marked as a deposit. I read the amounts to Wes. He let out a low whistle. She didn't book a cheap room and a flight, he said. She built a weekend. On my account. Save every charge. Screenshot everything. Check the email tied to the card. The email address was a shared household account we used for utility notices, travel confirmations, warranties, and receipts. Kara had access to it. So did I? I opened it on my laptop. At first, I saw nothing unusual beyond the airline confirmation. Then I searched the hotel name from the credit card alert. A reservation email appeared. There are sentences you read once and remember exactly where you were standing for the rest of your life. Romantic weekend package requested by guest. Second guest, Jonah. I read it twice. The package included a suite upgrade, a spa treatment for 2, late checkout, a bottle of champagne, and a couple's tasting menu at the hotel restaurant. She had not simply booked a weekend to clear her head. She had booked romance and planned to make me finance it. Isaac, Wes said through the phone. I realized I had gone silent. It says romantic weekend package. Take a screenshot. Second guest, Jonah. Take a screenshot. My hands felt cold. She stood in our kitchen and said it wasn't romantic. Screenshot first. Breakdown later. I did. Then I found the rideshare receipt. Kara had told me she was leaving at 7 because she needed time to pack. The receipt showed she had left the house almost an hour earlier than she claimed on a previous day and gone to an address I recognized as Jonah's apartment building. That trip had been 3 days before the hotel weekend. I kept searching. Buried beneath the original confirmation was a forwarded email thread. Kara had sent the itinerary to Jonah from her personal account, then accidentally forwarded the entire chain to the shared address while trying to save the confirmation. Most of it was ordinary travel planning. Then I saw her message. My husband knows we're basically separated, but he still likes to act possessive. Don't engage if he tries to create drama. This weekend is about us getting clarity without him controlling the conversation. I read it slowly. Not because the sentence was difficult to understand, because it changed the shape of everything. Kara had told me Jonah was just a friend. She had told Jonah our marriage was basically over. She had told our counselor I was too controlling to trust. She had told her friends I was jealous. And she had told herself that all of those versions could exist at once as long as no one compared notes. I wasn't looking at one bad choice. I was looking at a planned narrative. I was supposed to fund the trip, remain quiet so I wouldn't embarrass her, and then accept whatever version she brought home. If I objected, I was controlling. If I stayed silent, my silence became proof that we were separated. If I paid, I was still useful. If I stopped paying, I was abusive. It was a system designed so Kara could not be wrong. That was the part that changed everything, I told Wes. What did she say? I read him the message. He was quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, save the entire thread, not just the line. I will. Export it. Screenshot it. Email it to yourself somewhere she can't access. I did that too. Wes continued. Now call the bank. Ask what you can legally do with an authorized user on your account. Don't guess. I hesitated. Do not protect her from the consequences of a decision she made on purpose, he said. I'm not trying to strand her. You're not. She's an adult traveling with another adult. You're removing your money. I looked at the reservation again. A couple's tasting menu. Champagne. Late checkout. I thought of the bracelet on her wrist as she had pulled the suitcase to the door. All right, I said. Before calling the bank, I called Naomi. My sister had never liked the way Kara dismissed me, though she had tried to stay out of our marriage. She answered on the second ring. Are you okay? No. What happened? Kara left for a weekend with Jonah. Naomi swore under her breath. She called it a reset trip, I said. For what? Resetting herself into a new relationship. She used the card. There was a beat of silence. Your card. The household one. My account. And you're still talking like there's a difference. I rubbed my forehead. I found the hotel confirmation. It's a romantic package. Naomi's voice softened. Oh, Isaac. She told him we're basically separated. Are you? No. Did you agree to a separation? No. Then she lied. I know. You sound like you're trying to find a softer word. I don't want to be the guy who controls his wife. Then don't control her. Let her go. That's what I did. And stop paying. I didn't answer. Naomi said, you keep calling it patience because admitting its humiliation would hurt more. That's not fair. No, what she's doing isn't fair. I'm just the one saying it out loud. I stood and paced beside the kitchen counter. She'll tell everyone I'm controlling. She's already telling people that. You just read the proof. That stopped me. Naomi continued. She's not confused about your boundary. She just doesn't like that it costs her something. I've tried everything. I know. Counseling. Space. Conversations. I know. I didn't want to give up too early. You didn't. I looked at the counseling reminder on the refrigerator. Naomi's voice became firmer. Stop auditioning to be treated like a husband. That sentence hurt because it was true. I had been waiting for Kara to reward my restraint with honesty. Instead, she had used my restraint as cover. After I hung up, I called the number on the back of the card. The bank representative was professional and careful. She verified my identity, explained that Kara was an authorized user, and asked whether I wanted to freeze the account or remove the authorized user. Will removing her stop charges immediately? I asked. New charges on her card should be declined once the removal processes, she said. Some pending or previously authorized charges may still post. You'll need to review those individually. I want her removed. Are you reporting the card stolen? No. Are you disputing fraudulent charges? Not at this moment. I'm documenting charges I did not approve, but I understand an authorized user made them. She explained the difference between removing access and disputing charges. I wrote down the time, the representative's name, and the confirmation number. I did not lie. I did not claim the card had been stolen. I did not ask the bank to seize money from Kara. I removed an authorized user from an account in my name. Then I reviewed the reservations. The hotel booking was under Kara's name, but the deposit was on my card. The airline tickets had been purchased through miles attached to my travel account, with fees on the card. The dinner package had my card listed as the payment method. I called the airline and removed my account from any further upgrades. The tickets themselves were already issued, so I did not cancel them. I wasn't trying to stop her from going. I wanted a clean line between her choice and my money. I called the hotel and asked to remove my card as the guaranteed payment method. The clerk told me the guests could still check in if they provided another valid card. Will the reservation be canceled? I asked. No, sir. They will need a card at check-in for the room, incidentals, and any remaining package balance. Understood. I canceled the spa add-on because it was charged directly under my card and account profile. I canceled the couple's dinner deposit for the same reason. Every step had a confirmation number. Every screenshot went into a chronological folder on my computer and a second private email account. Then I sent Kara one text. You're free to take the trip. You're not free to bill it to me. I stared at the screen before sending it. No insult. No threat. No mention of divorce. Just the boundary. She read it within a minute. The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, she replied, You are unbelievable. Do not sabotage this weekend because you're insecure. I wrote back. I have not stopped you from going. I removed my payment methods. Her reply came quickly. We are married. You can't just cut me off. I looked at that sentence for a long time. Then I answered. You remembered we were married when the bill arrived. She called immediately. I let it ring. Then I sent Jonah a message. We had never exchanged more than a few polite words before. I had his number because Kara once asked me to add him to a dinner reservation. I wrote, She told you we were separated. We weren't. I attached the screenshot showing her message and the hotel confirmation naming him as the second guest. Then I put my phone face down and made coffee I did not want. For the next hour, nothing happened. I printed the charges, reservation, email thread, and messages. Not as a dramatic prop. I wanted the order clear because Kara had a way of turning any conversation into a debate over tone. At 10:48, Jonah read my message. At 10:52, Kara called again. I did not answer. At 11:14, Jenna texted me. I don't know what's happening, but Kara says you canceled her hotel in the middle of the trip. That looks really controlling from the outside. I replied. I did not cancel the hotel. I removed my card. She can pay for the trip herself. Jenna answered. She said this weekend was part of her healing. I wrote. Then she should fund her healing. Jenna did not respond. I slept badly. At 7 the next morning, I woke up on the couch with my neck stiff and my phone under one hand. There were 6 missed calls from Kara. 3 texts. Call me now. You have gone too far. The hotel is saying the card is invalid. The 4th message came while I was reading the others. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? I still didn't call. At 7:23, my phone rang again. This time I answered. The background was muffled, but I could hear rolling luggage, low voices, and the distant chime of an elevator. Kara spoke quietly through clenched teeth. What did you do? I removed you from my card. The hotel won't check us in. Then provide another card. You canceled the package. I removed charges attached to my account. There are people standing here. I'm sure the staff has seen a declined card before. You're enjoying this. No. You sound pretty calm for someone who just humiliated his wife. You wanted a weekend without me. That includes my wallet. She inhaled sharply. Put the card back. No. Isaac. No. You can't do this. I already did. You are financially abusing me. You have your own checking account, your own credit card, and the ability to pay for anything you can afford. I am not required to finance a romantic weekend with Jonah. Her voice dropped further. Stop calling it romantic. The hotel called it romantic. It's on the confirmation. Silence. Then, very softly, she said, You went through my email? I checked the shared account connected to my card. That was private. It was forwarded to the household email and billed to me. Behind her, I heard a man's voice. Kara. She covered the phone, but not quickly enough. I heard Jonah say, "What confirmation?" Kara came back on the line. "You sent him something." "Yes." "What did you send?" "The truth." "You had no right." "I had every right to correct a lie about my own marriage." "What lie?" "That we were separated." The lobby noise seemed to disappear. Then Jonah's voice came through clearly. "You told me he knew." Kara said, "This is not the place." Jonah replied, "Then where was the place?" "Before I flew here with you." She moved away from him. I could hear the scrape of suitcase wheels. "Isaac, you are destroying my life because you can't handle not being chosen for one weekend." "I'm not competing for one weekend." "You made this into something ugly. You booked a couple's package with another man and used my card. We were trying to talk. Over champagne and a couple's tasting menu?" "That was the hotel's wording." "You selected the package." She started crying, but the tears did not change the facts. I needed clarity. "You lied to get it." "I told Jonah what the marriage felt like." "You told him we were separated." "It felt separated." "Feelings don't get to rewrite facts." She went quiet. Then she said, "Put the card back, and we'll talk about this when I get home." "No. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I didn't book the trip." "You knew I needed this." "I knew you wanted it. Needing something doesn't make me responsible for paying." Jonah's voice came closer again. "Kara, are you married or separated?" She snapped, "You know it's complicated." "No," he said. "You told me it wasn't." I said nothing. Kara whispered, "I hate you." Then she ended the call. The hotel staff did not mock her, make a scene, or throw her luggage outside. From what I later learned, they simply asked for another valid card. Kara's personal credit card did not have enough available credit for the full stay and incidentals. Jonah could have paid. He chose not to after reading my message. That was his decision. A little after 8, he texted me. "She told me you both understood where things stood. I should have asked more." I did not reply. 10 minutes later, he sent another message. "I'm leaving." That was all. He did not become my friend. He did not apologize for getting involved with a married woman beyond acknowledging that he should have asked more. I did not need a confession from him. He had ignored enough red flags to make the trip. Kara had lied enough to make him think the red flags belonged to me. Both things could be true. The weekend collapsed in less than an hour. Kara eventually paid for one night at a cheaper hotel using her own card after calling Paula for money. She returned the following afternoon instead of Sunday night. I was not home when she arrived. Wes had insisted I spend the day with him because he did not trust Kara to come back calm, and he did not trust me to stay calm if she arrived angry. "You don't need a dramatic kitchen scene right now," he said. "You need sleep and a lawyer." "I'm not filing anything today." I didn't say file. I said talk. When I returned that evening, Kara's suitcase was in the hallway. The house smelled like the vanilla candle she lit when she wanted a room to feel calm without actually having a calm conversation. She was sitting at the kitchen table. The silver bracelet was gone. "You sent Jonah private messages," she said. I corrected a factual lie. "You didn't have to include the hotel confirmation. It showed why I contacted him. You wanted to embarrass me. I wanted him to know we were not separated. You could have talked to me first." "I did. For months. Not about the email. I found it after you left." She looked tired, but not ashamed. There is a difference. Tired people want conflict to end. Ashamed people face what they did. Kara wanted to regain control of the story. "You went looking for something to justify punishing me," she said. "I followed charges on my card. You always make money the center of everything. You used money to make the trip possible." She pushed back from the table. "I needed one weekend to think without your pressure. And you chose the man you used to love. I chose someone who listens. You chose someone you told we were separated." She looked away. "Jonah misunderstood. I read your words. It was shorthand." "For what?" "For how disconnected we've been. We were in counseling. That doesn't mean we were together emotionally. You slept in our bed the night before you left. You used our card. You threatened to end the marriage if I questioned the trip. You don't get to be separated only in the sentences that help you." Her eyes filled. "You're being cruel." "No, I'm being specific. You don't even care that I'm hurting. I cared for a long time. I cared enough to ignore what your behavior was doing to me because you always had a better word for it. She stood. I'm going to my mother's. I think that's best. You're not even going to ask me to stay? No. That was the first moment she looked truly shocked. For years, our arguments had ended with me trying to repair things. I would ask what she needed, apologize for my tone, suggest counseling, offer dinner, or sit beside her until the anger faded. This time, I did not move. She packed another bag. Before leaving, she turned at the door. You made one weekend destroy 11 years. No, I said. You spent years testing whether I'd call disrespect by a softer name. She stared at me for several seconds. Then she left. By the next morning, Kara had posted a vague message online. Sometimes control disguises itself as love. Healing begins when you stop apologizing for needing space. She did not name me. She did not mention Jonah. She did not mention the romantic package. She did not mention the card. The comments filled with supportive phrases from people who knew only her version. Jenna texted me again. I'm trying to understand. Did you really cancel everything while she was already there? I replied. I removed my card before check-in. I told her before she arrived. She wrote. Kara says she had no warning. I sent a screenshot of my text and the timestamp. There was a long pause. Then Jenna replied. She said you froze all the household money. I sent a screenshot showing that the joint checking account was untouched and only Kara's authorized user card had been removed. Jenna wrote. Wait, she used the shared card for the hotel? I answered. Hotel deposit, upgraded seats, spa package, and couples dinner. This time Jenna did not respond for nearly an hour. Then she wrote, I didn't know that. Paula called that afternoon. Her tone was the one she used when she believed moral authority was enough to settle a disagreement. I hope you're proud of yourself, she said. I'm not proud. You stranded my daughter. She had her own money, her own card, and Jonah. You humiliated her in public. I removed my payment method. A real husband doesn't embarrass his wife like that. A real wife doesn't ask her husband to fund a romantic weekend with another man. Paula inhaled sharply. Kara told me it wasn't romantic. The hotel confirmation says otherwise. She said the hotel labeled it that way automatically. She selected a package that included champagne, spa services for two, and a couple's dinner. That doesn't prove anything happened. I didn't say it did. Then why are you acting like she had an affair? I'm acting like she lied about our marriage, booked a romantic trip with a former love interest, and charged it to me. She felt alone for months. We were in counseling. You were cold. Did Kara tell you we were separated? Paula paused. She said the marriage was basically over. It wasn't. That may be how she felt. That's not what she told Jonah. Paula went quiet. I continued. She told him I knew we were separated. I did not. She wouldn't lie about something that serious. I have the email. Another silence. Then Paula said, we need to discuss this as a family. I don't need a family vote on my marriage. You owe Kara a conversation. I have had years of conversations with Kara. She's devastated. So am I. Paula's voice softened slightly, but only slightly. Come to dinner tomorrow. Let everyone speak calmly. I almost refused. Then I thought about Kara's post, Jenna's messages, and the version already moving through her family. I had spent too long letting silence become an empty space Kara could fill. I'll come, I said, but I'm bringing the facts. Paula replied, don't turn dinner into a courtroom. I won't. I'll answer what I'm accused of. Before the dinner, I scheduled a consultation with a divorce attorney. It was not an instant filing. It was not a dramatic victory. It was a first legal step. The attorney's office sent me a list of documents to gather: account statements, recent tax returns, credit card records, insurance information, property records, and any written communication related to separation. Separation. The real kind. The kind both people knew about. Wes came over and helped me organize copies. Do not give away originals, he said. I know. Do not move joint money without advice. I know. Do not let her pull you into a late-night argument and then claim you agreed to something. I know. He looked at me. You keep saying you know. I'm telling you because 2 weeks ago you knew the bracelet was disrespectful and still took her to dinner. That's fair. He tapped the printed timeline. This is not revenge. This is documentation. I know. Now that time, I believe you. The family dinner was held at Paula's house. There were takeout containers lined up on the counter, a pitcher of iced tea sweating onto a folded towel, and more tension in the room than food. Kara sat beside Paula. Jenna sat across from them. Two relatives who had already heard Kara's version hovered near the end of the table, clearly uncomfortable but unwilling to leave. I carried a plain envelope with copies of the relevant records. No binder. No presentation. No speech. I sat down and waited. Paula started. We are here because this has gotten out of control. Kara looked at the table. Paula continued. Kara says you cut off her money during an emotionally necessary trip and publicly humiliated her. I removed her as an authorized user from my card after learning the trip was booked as a romantic package with Jonah. Kara shook her head. There you go again, making it sound dirty. I'm using the hotel's description. It was a marketing label. You chose it. I chose a room package. With champagne, spa treatments for two, late checkout, and a couple's dinner. One of the relatives stopped opening a takeout container. Paula said, Isaac, this isn't helping. You accused me of financial abuse. The details matter. Kara folded her arms. You canceled the card knowing I was traveling. I told you before check-in. You knew I couldn't afford the room. You knew that when you booked it. I am your wife. You told Jonah we were separated. Her face tightened. Jenna looked from Kara to me. What? I opened the envelope and removed the email screenshot. I found this in the shared email account tied to the card. It was part of a forwarded confirmation thread. I slid the page across the table. Kara reached for it, but Paula picked it up first. The room went quiet except for someone clearing plates at the kitchen sink. The clatter sounded too loud. Paula read the message. My husband knows we're basically separated, but he still likes to act possessive. She looked at Kara. Did you write this? Kara's eyes filled immediately. You don't understand the context. Did you write it? Paula asked again. Yes, but... Jenna leaned forward. So you weren't separated when you told Jonah that? Kara looked at her. It felt separated. I said, feelings don't get to rewrite facts after you charge the card. Kara's head snapped toward me. You are humiliating me in front of my family. You made it public when you told everyone I was the problem. I'm correcting the record. You could have protected me. From what? Your own email. Paula placed the page on the table. Kara, you told me Isaac knew the marriage was over. I told you he knew how bad things were. That is not the same thing, Paula said. Kara's voice rose. Why is everyone suddenly taking his side? He went through my messages. He canceled my card. He contacted Jonah behind my back. I removed another page. This is the bank record. The card is in my name. You were an authorized user. The joint checking account was not touched. I placed the next page beside it. This is my text before hotel check-in. You're free to take the trip. You're not free to bill it to me. Then the next. This is the reservation note naming Jonah as the second guest. Then the charges. Upgraded airline seats. Hotel deposit. Spa package. Couples dinner reservation. Jenna stared at the list. You used the shared card for all of that? Kara said, we're married. It's our money. I replied. You cannot describe the marriage as over to get Jonah into the room and alive to get me to pay for it. No one spoke. Paula looked older than she had when I arrived. I didn't know about the charges, she said. Kara turned to her. Mom, you know how he is. He makes everything sound calculated. I said, the itinerary was calculated. That is not what I meant. I know. You're twisting my words. I'm reading them. One of the relatives pushed a cup of iced tea away without drinking it. Jenna's tone changed. It lost the defensive edge she had used in her texts. Did Jonah know you were still actively in counseling? Kara looked at her plate. He knew things were complicated. That's not what you wrote, Jenna said. I was trying to explain the emotional reality. Jenna shook her head. You told me Isaac had agreed to give you space. I needed space. That's not the question. Kara's eyes moved around the table, searching for someone willing to rescue her. For months, she had built separate versions of the marriage for separate audiences. Now those audiences were in one room. Paula said, "Kara, answer the question." Kara's voice cracked. "No, we were not formally separated." Jenna sat back. "And Jonah thought you were. He knew I was unhappy." "That is not the same thing," Paula repeated. Kara turned on me. "You're enjoying this." "I'm not." "You brought papers. Because you told people I abused you financially. You did. I stopped paying for a trip with another man. You made me look cheap and stupid at the front desk. I didn't embarrass you. I stopped financing the story you were telling about me." Her face went still. That was the closest I came to a speech. I did not call her names. I did not ask everyone to condemn her. I did not demand an apology. I gathered the pages back into chronological order. Paula said quietly, "What happens now?" "I've separated the card access. I'm documenting the disputed expenses. I have a legal consultation scheduled. Major communication between Kara and me will be in writing." Kara laughed through her tears. "So you already decided to divorce me?" "I decided to get legal advice." "You're using this as an excuse." "No, I'm responding to what happened. We can still fix this." "You said the marriage was over when it helped you." "I was confused." "You were clear enough to book the package." She wiped her face. "I didn't sleep with him." "I haven't asked." Her expression shifted. "You don't want to know?" "No." "How can you not want to know?" "Because the answer doesn't repair the lying, the money, or the way you used me in the story. You're willing to throw away 11 years without even knowing what happened." "I know enough." For the first time that evening, Kara had no immediate response. Jenna did not apologize to me. I did not expect her to, but she stopped defending Kara publicly. The next day, the supportive comments under Kara's vague post slowed after Jenna removed hers. Paula never said, "You were right." She did something more honest. She stopped calling me controlling. The following morning, Jonah sent one final message. I didn't know she lied about the separation. I should have asked more. "I'm out." I replied. "Understood." That was the end of my contact with him. He was not innocent. A man who agrees to a romantic weekend with a married woman does not get to pretend he saw no warning signs. But he had been given a version of the truth designed to make me the obstacle and himself the rescuer. When the truth became expensive and public, he left. Kara returned to the house 3 days after the family dinner. She asked to talk in the kitchen. There was no suitcase this time. The counseling reminder was still on the refrigerator. I had canceled the appointment after speaking with the attorney. Kara noticed. "You canceled counseling." "Yes." "So you don't want to try?" "We tried." "Not like this." "You mean not after consequences?" She sat at the table and folded her hands. "I know I handled the trip badly. That's one way to say it. I should have been more transparent. You lied." "I was trying to protect myself." "From what?" "From being judged before I understood what I wanted. You wanted the stability of the marriage while testing another relationship. That's not fair. It's exact." She looked down. "I didn't plan for any of this to happen. You booked it." "I mean the fallout." "That isn't the same thing." Her eyes filled again. "I was unhappy, Isaac. I know." "You stopped seeing me." "I saw you. I just stopped recognizing the rules." "What rules?" "The ones where your feelings mattered more than my facts." She flinched. "I never meant to hurt you. You knew the trip would hurt me. I thought you would be angry. You threatened to end the marriage if I showed it. I needed one thing that wasn't controlled by you. You could have paid for it yourself. That isn't the point." "It is part of the point." She stood and walked to the counter. "You always reduce emotional things to transactions." "No, you turned this into a transaction when you put it on my card." She stared out the window. "Jonah won't speak to me." "That's between you and Jonah." Jenna barely answers. "That's between you and Jenna." "My mother looks at me like she doesn't know me." "That's between you and your mother." She turned around. "And what about us?" "There is no version of us where I return to pretending this was a misunderstanding. So that's it." "That's the part you don't get. I'm not deciding for you anymore. I'm deciding for me. You're going to divorce me over one weekend." "No, I'm going to divorce you because the weekend exposed what the marriage had become." She shook her head. "You're so cold." I was warm for years. You called it weakness. I never said that. You treated it that way. She pressed both palms against the counter. What would it take? The truth. I'm telling you the truth. No, you're offering the smallest admission you think might stop the consequences. Her mouth tightened. I made a mistake. You made reservations, charges, travel plans, messages, and separate stories for different people. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. This was a sequence. She stared at me. You rehearsed that. No, I finally stopped softening it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The old version of me would have filled the silence. I would have offered some path forward because silence made me feel cruel. This time, I let the silence belong to both of us. Kara sat down again. I loved you, she said. I loved you too. Past tense. Yes. Her face broke then. Not the angry tears from the hotel call. Not the selective crying at dinner. Real grief. I felt it too. The end of a marriage is not clean just because one person is wrong. There were 11 years in that room. Grocery lists, inside jokes, holidays, arguments, apologies, funerals, birthdays, and mornings when one of us made coffee for the other without being asked. I did not hate Kara. That made leaving harder, not easier. She whispered, I don't know how we got here. I do. She looked up. Every time I told you something hurt, you changed the subject to whether I had the right to feel hurt. Every time I asked for honesty, you called it control. Every time I gave you space, you used it to move the boundary. That isn't all that happened. No, it's just the part I'm no longer willing to live with. She wiped her face. Are you really going through with this? Yes. She nodded slowly. Can I stay here for now? I need advice from the attorney before we change living arrangements. Until then, we use separate rooms, separate expenses, and written communication for anything important. You're treating me like a stranger. I'm treating the situation like one where our conversations keep changing afterward. She looked down at her hands. What about the trip charges? I'm documenting them for the financial separation. So you're making me pay you back? I'm asking counsel how they should be handled. You could just let it go. I let too much go already. The next few weeks were quieter than I expected. Not peaceful. Quiet. Kara stayed with Paula more often. When she was at the house, we spoke about practical matters. Utilities. Mail. Insurance. Appointments. I asked for major decisions in writing, and she complained that it felt formal. It was formal. That was the point. Formality gave less room for revision. I opened a new checking account for my income after taking legal advice. I did not empty joint funds. I documented balances on the date of separation. I changed passwords on accounts that were solely mine and left joint accounts intact until counsel advised otherwise. The disputed trip expenses were not magically erased. Some pending charges posted. Others were canceled. The hotel deposit was partially refunded after a cancellation fee. The airline tickets remained used. The spa charge reversed. The restaurant deposit did not. I kept every statement. There was no instant courtroom victory. No judge slammed a gavel and declared me right. No one handed me back 11 years. There was paperwork. There were uncomfortable emails. There was the first morning I woke up without checking whether Kara had come home. There was the first night I slept through without waiting for her to choose the marriage. Naomi came over one Saturday and helped me clear out a cabinet Kara had filled with old mail and expired coupons. At one point, she found the anniversary card I had written the night Kara wore Jonah's bracelet. She held it for a moment, then handed it to me. You okay? No. Good answer. I laughed once. She leaned against the counter. You know you didn't cause this by canceling a card. I know. You also didn't cause it by waiting too long. I'm less sure about that. You tolerated it. That's not the same as causing it. I made it easier. Maybe, but being slow to defend yourself doesn't make someone else's betrayal your fault. I put the card in a box. I should have left at the bracelet. Maybe. I should have drawn the line at the midnight calls. Maybe. I should have. Naomi cut me off. You drew it now. That was enough. Kara tried several more times to reframe the failed trip as the single act that destroyed us. In one email, She wrote that I had chosen humiliation over communication. I replied, I communicated the boundary before check-in. You chose to proceed without another payment method. In another, she wrote that I had made her emotionally unsafe. I replied, please specify any practical concern requiring a response. I will not debate labels by email. The more concise I became, the less room there was for the old pattern. Eventually, her messages changed. The accusations became requests about logistics. The vague social media posts stopped. She removed the one about control and healing. Paula called me once more, several weeks later. I'm not calling to argue, she said. All right. I should have asked questions before accusing you. I waited. She continued. Kara told me things in pieces. I accepted the pieces because she was upset. I understand. That doesn't excuse it. No. I'm sorry for what I said about you not being a real husband. Thank you. She's still my daughter. I know. I'm going to support her through the divorce. You should. But I'm not going to repeat things I know aren't true. That's all I can ask. It was not a dramatic reconciliation. It was better than one. It was honest. Jenna sent a shorter message. I reacted before I knew the details. I'm sorry. I replied. Thank you. I did not need everyone to switch sides. I needed the false version to stop traveling unchallenged. The divorce process began. Kara did not confess to a physical affair. I never learned whether one happened. By then, the question had lost its power over me. The betrayal was not limited to what may or may not have happened in a hotel room. It was in the planning. It was in the lies. It was in the way she told another man our marriage was over while telling me I had no right to question her. It was in the assumption that my card would remain available even when my place in her life became optional. It was in the confidence with which she expected me to absorb the insult and then apologize for reacting. I had spent years believing calmness meant enduring more than other people. Now I understood calmness could also mean leaving without chaos. On the day I signed the first formal set of separation documents, I came home and made coffee even though it was late in the afternoon. The house was mostly empty. Kara had taken her personal things to Paula's. A faint rectangle on the wall showed where one of our framed wedding photos had hung. I stood in the kitchen where she had rolled the suitcase toward the door. For a moment, I could hear the wheels clicking over the tile again. I remembered her saying, "Don't embarrass me with cheap jealousy." I remembered the card alert lighting my phone. I remembered how close I had come to swallowing one more insult and calling it patience. Then I opened the drawer, found the spare batteries exactly where they belonged, and laughed at how ordinary the moment was. There was no victory music, no perfect ending. Just a quiet house, a legal process underway, separate finances, and the first boundary I had drawn without apologizing for it. Kara told me to let her be free. So I did. I just stopped paying for the flight. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.